surgery. So the biggest thing that causes a lot of vocal problems is obviously overuse, but obviously diet is important. So I started having a bunch of fruit that's not citrus, and watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, things like that, and it changed my voice instantly. So I do that a lot. And then I would say, when you go to bed and you got 8 hours to really sleep. And if you feel like you're losing your voice, take a morning, don't talk. Vocal rest is like huge for making you be able to come back. So that's important. Because you're gonna get in events like this, All-Star, you're gonna be in loud situations, you're in the rooms where, hey, how you doing, man? You good? What you been up to? You yelling and screaming. The next day you got a broadcast. You're like, man, well, last night you were yelling at the bar talking with Johnny. You know what I mean? So guarding your voice in loud scenarios, things like that, be thoughtful of it, because that is your money maker. The voice is a big part of what we're doing. And if you can't communicate it, then that's a tough one. The other thing is, if you're happy, the viewer's happy. You come with an attitude, then you destroy the whole broadcast. So you gotta, whatever you might be going through, when it comes time to carry that game, you gotta throw that off to the side. If you drag that onto the broadcast, it will be heard. So you gotta throw all that off to the side. It's fun. I think for me, I played in Seattle. We had a broadcaster named Dave Niehaus, and I played on teams that lost 100 games some years. And I would walk in the clubhouse and I'd hear Dave calling the game, and you would think we were going to the World Series. I'm like, we are not that good. But this guy was like, every day, it's time for Mariner baseball. I'm like, come on, man, I ain't even doing that, and I'm playing. But he was like, man, he made you want to watch the game constantly, because you're the soundtrack to everybody's summer. You want to turn on the TV or radio or whatever and be happy about it. I know your team might be 12 and 40, but if you're out there going, hey, today's a great day, we got so-and-so starting his big league debut, or whatever it might be, college, whatever, you set the tone for that viewer at home.
What's important when you have to criticize constructively?
For me, in my seat as an analyst, I try to look at teaching. It's a teaching point. Like, it's not, this guy's terrible, man. He got to make that play. It's more like, hey, he knows how he missed that ball. And here's what I would do if I was trying to catch that ground ball. I always try to do it a positive spin on it, unless somebody just absolutely calls for you to have to be a little bit more critical. But for the most part, I try to look at them like they're teaching moments and just try to continue to teach that way.
2 years ago, in Seattle at the first swimming class at MLB, you have your daughter, now you have your son.
Yeah.
Is it important for you to have your kids around when you're doing your broadcasting thing?
Absolutely. So you want to answer? What are we talking about today? I think presentation is important, and the more they learn, the more they understand. It's for them to present. We have where you come from. You don't know where you're going if you don't know where you came from. He and I today, we were talking about, he's getting ready to go into high school, and he's a quarterback, and he's got to present and project. And so we were talking about Motown today, and how you had all this talent coming from Motown, but the key was they took each one of them and basically went through an apprenticeship. You're going to learn how to dance, you're going to learn how to dress, you're going to learn how to talk. So all those things are important. So the more they can see people like you guys, ball players, the things he'll be exposed to this weekend, just different folks, it's important. And how I'm watching all the time, how you say hi, you shake hands, you look at people, you look them in the eye, things like that. He knows. I'll pull him aside and be like, hey man, that ain't how you do it. So it's important for them to do that.
Talk to us about, like, the underlying theme. You said you learn something new every day, regardless if it's on the job or just in life. What makes that mantra so important?
Because you want to continue to grow and evolve as a person. You don't ever want to be stagnant. And you don't want to come off like you know everything. Because if you don't, I'll give you a Yogi Berra story. Every time I go see Yogi in the museum in Montclair, which we live in, I'd go by and see him once a week or so. And I'd walk in and he'd go, "You know everything? You don't know everything. If you knew everything, then you would know everything. So why are you talking like you know everything? Because you don't know everything. If you knew everything, you know everything." I'm like, "I don't know everything, yo." "Then why you act like you know everything? You're going to learn something every day." And it's so true. It's funny, but it's a truism. You know, you do learn something every day. And it's important. The other thing is that I think is important is humility. You know, I was on 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, the Red Sox are terrible. I'm on there. You know, they're not going to go anywhere. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. Blue Jays, their season's over. I go on vacation. I come back. The Blue Jays are 3 up on the Yankees, and the Red Sox are knocking on the door. So I'm sitting on the set going, I missed it. You know, and that's going to engage you with your viewing audience, your listening audience. They want to trust you. And if they can't trust you to be honest, then what you're saying is not going to resonate. So you have to remember that.